All right, welcome on in, everybody, to the Falls Count Anywhere podcast here from Niagara Falls, New York. I'm Charlie Turner, along with John Restino and Chris DiCarlo. Gentlemen, today is one of those shows that is just it's a little extra special today. It's an Olympic-sized show, if you will. And Chris, I want to hand it over to you and give these gentlemen coming on in their proper introductions.
Yes, definitely. It is. Wow, a big deal today. Our honor and privilege first to have a special co-host join us. Sorry about that, glitched. Special co-host from Minnesota, friend of ours and friend of the show, Mr. George Shire. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, guys. Always fun to be here.
All right.
Thank you, George.
And second, the star of the show today on our great Falls Count Anywhere podcast. We are so honored and privileged to have this gentleman, truly a legend in the sports world and in professional wrestling. He is a U.S. weightlifting champion 4 years in a row, 1969-72, 1971 Pan American Games, 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany, a part of the world's strongest man contest in 1977. Now we kind of get into quickly his wrestling great career. NWA Big Time American Champion, NWA Tri-States Brass Knucks Champion and Tag Team Champion, Southwest Brass Knucks Champion, Mid-Atlantic two-time heavyweight champion and a tag team champion in the Mid-Atlantic territory. NWA St. Louis, Missouri State champion twice. WWF Intercontinental champion. NWA Georgia heavyweight champion. A CWA Memphis International champion twice. An AWA tag team champion on two different occasions. Pro Wrestling America tag team champion, and lastly, a Universal Wrestling Association champion, the one and only, the great Mr. Ken Patera.
How's everybody doing out there?
Doing great, Mr. Patera. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show, sir. We're privileged to have you, sir.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I don't think I've met any of you knuckleheads before, have I?
No, sir, I don't think so. Well, definitely not me or Chris or John. We just started this podcast about a year and a half, 2 years ago almost. And I'll tell you what, to get somebody the likes of your stature is a huge thrill for us. We thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the honor.
I've been driving my wife nuts since Monday about this, and you, Ken Patera, and we're so pumped up and ready to go.
Good.
Well, Mr. Patera, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah, we'll kick it right off. The first thing I wanted to jump into with you, sir, was, obviously your Olympic career was unbelievably awesome. And I wanted to ask you, as far as your initial transition from being an Olympic athlete going into the training under Vern Gagne and what that brutal training was like. Can you kind of give us an idea of what it was like transitioning from Olympic training to being in ring shape and in that wrestling training? How was that experience under Vern Gagne and what was that transition like?
It was tough as nails. But I'll give you a rundown who was in the camp. Ric Flair and I were living together. Rick always wanted to be a pro wrestler, so I got Rick in the camp. So it's Ken Patera, Ric Flair, Jumpin' Jimmy Brunzell, who you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Vern Gagne's son, Greg Gagne, and they formed a tag team partnership later on, called themselves the High Criers, or the High Flyers.
There you go.
And then a kid out west here, Bob Bruggers, he played pro football with Wahoo McDaniel. And that's how he got introduced to Vern Gagne's training camp. And then Khosrow Vaziri, the Iron Sheik, right out of Iran.
Yes.
And he had been in the 68 Olympic Games in Mexico City. And what I did, because I was the biggest and the most powerful and the strongest, I put all those jabronis on my back and carried us all right through the training camp.
I believe that. And
Yeah.
what you mentioned, the Iron Sheik and Ric Flair. What was it like? Your
Oh.
initial, meeting those guys and then getting to know those guys. I mean, bigger than life personalities than those two, right?
Well, they were just very meek and well-mannered, very pleasant people to be around back in those days. You know, they were, Flair was 21 and the Sheik was, just a minute, the Sheik was about 27. And I was, or no, he would have been 28 or 29 because I was 28 right after the Olympic Games. So that's how that worked out. And the Sheik, he wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful. And several years after training camp, and we all went our own ways, I bumped into the Sheik, and I said, "Sheik, I hear that you're an All-American boy now." What? I said, "You're an All-American boy now. When we were in wrestling camp, you didn't smoke, you didn't swear, you didn't drink alcohol, you didn't chase girls, and now you do all those. So now you have been Americanized. You are an All-American boy now. How's it feel?" Yeah, he loves them. Well, he did love America. He just passed away.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, sir.
Yeah.